Has your brain ever flipped a memory on you? Taking something joyous and lovely and wonderful and all of a sudden turning it into doomsday darkness or painful sadness? If you have, you're not alone. And guess who's involved when that happens? Of course, our little friend Amy the amygdala. She plays such an important role in all of our wonderful, emotionally beautiful moments of joy and excitement and connection, and also in those moments of pain and despair and especially trauma. She loves the emotional vocabulary of our world. And the difficulty is that sometimes she can take things that were once very, very positive and change the narrative and the emotional experience of those moments. And when that happens, it can be very confusing and heartbreaking. I feel like a sense of loss or grief because something that was so positive at one point has now been taken away from us. This is particularly common when it comes to grief. When we've lost something or someone that we deeply cared about that was meaningful to us, it's as though there's a lens of gray glasses that get put on those once positive and delightful experiences because our brain struggles to decipher what is really, really great information from not so great information if we're in an emotional state where our amygdala is overly chiming in with that stress-induced structural plasticity. Remember, that is a specific type of neuroplasticity that is stress-informed. And when we have that type of plasticity present in our brain, and guess what? We all do. That's okay. It's the same reason that we learn not to touch hot stoves. It does a lot of really good work for us. But if it's predominant and our amygdala is starting to run the show, well, then that will impact other memories, other experiences. And so it's not just about grief, but it certainly becomes more and more present. The bitter starts to overwhelm any of the sweetness that came before. Now, of course, one of the best ways to interact with helping our brain navigate through those experiences is to calm our little friend Amy the amygdala down. Oh, you know my go-to CPR for the amygdala. But we can also lean into building positive focus, neuroplasticity-based links to override the amygdala gray glass response and help our amygdala connect into other experiences tied to resilience, personal empowerment, and agency. And so the Creating Possibilities protocol is a really wonderful opportunity for doing that, for empowering our brain to build the neural links or the neural freeways, so to speak, the relationships in our brain with each other to the things that we want more of. Finding an anchor can be anything in the environment that we can then utilize over and over and over again to say, hey, brain, prioritize this instead of the doomsday story or the gray glass experiences that the amygdala has put on the brain and therefore is designing the narrative of your day-to-day life. So if you're not familiar with Creating Possibilities protocol, check out the notes below. And if you notice that you have some memories that have become less than joyous, whether it be because of grief and loss or some other reason, that's okay. Now you know that with CPR for the amygdala, you can calm your brain down and then start to revisit the types of emotional states that you want tied into that stimuli with intention, rebuilding and reconnecting to the things that made that memory, those experiences, those moments so precious to begin with.